I can remember bicycling in Israel, coming out of Jerusalem on the road to Jericho. I saw why Jesus used this setting for his parable of the Good Samaritan. It's a winding labyrinth of a road. It's very conducive for mugging or robbing or ambush. It begins in Jerusalem at 1,200 feet above sea level, and by the time you reach Jericho, maybe 45 minutes or an hour later on a bicycle, you're at 2,200 feet below sea level. That's a dangerous road. And at the time of Jesus, they called it the Bloody Pass. When Martin Luther King told of this parable, he said, it's possible that the priest and the Levite, they looked over at the man on the ground and they were wondering if the robbers were still around. Or it's possible that they felt that the man on the ground was merely faking. And he was acting like he'd been robbed and hurt in order to seize them over there, lure them over for quick and easy capture. The first question which the priest and the Levite asked was, if I stop to help this man, what will happen to me? But then the Good Samaritan reversed the question. If I do not stop to help this man, what will happen to him? That's the question before Reverend Mark Kiimba and the others who are planning a conference in Uganda next week to begin a petition drive and a civil rights campaign against the anti-gay bill. They're not asking, if we do this, what will happen to us? But if we don't come out and support the gay and lesbian community and their families in Uganda right now, what will happen to them? It reminds me of a poem from World War II. First they came for the communists, and I did not speak out because I was not a communist. And then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. And then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. And then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak out. In recognition of his immense courage, I'm going to Uganda to stand with Reverend Mark Kiimba next week, and I want to thank our partner church council here at All Souls for funding my trip. I ask for your prayers for me, but most of all, for him. The risks to me are minuscule, but to him they're massive. Martin Luther King Jr. said, there are some things so precious, some things so eternally true that they are worth dying for. And if a man has not discovered something that he will die for, he is not fit to live. There comes a time in a person's life when they have to decide, here's where I stand, and I can do no other. And when people are being run over and swept under and knocked down and locked up for no other reason than being who God called them to be, well then, it's time to decide. That's our dream and our promise, that all people should be free. And we must never underestimate the power of that promise. Throughout history, it has called people like Unitarian minister Norbert Čapek from Czechoslovakia, who died in a concentration camp in World War II for his efforts to save Jews and speak out against the German SS. And Universalist minister Reverend Toribio Quimada in the Philippines, who was murdered helping minister to the poorest of the poor on the island of Negros. And Viola Luizo was a 39-year-old Unitarian Universalist mother and civil rights worker from Detroit who came to Alabama to help with voter registration and was murdered en route to a civil rights meeting in 1965. And most well-known was Unitarian Universalist minister Reverend James Reeb, who heeded Martin Luther King Jr.'s call to white clergy to come and march in Selma and was struck down dead by a segregationist while coming out of a restaurant in Alabama that was marked for blacks only because he would patronize no other. And now, Reverend Mark Kiemba in Uganda, who is preparing to put his life and his freedom in jeopardy because he could do no other if he were to be true to himself and all that he holds most dear. He's about to wade into a raging river, and he has to have faith that a path will emerge. No, we must never underestimate the power of our faith in freedom, nor underestimate the depth of the sacrifices that have made our freedom possible. You need to know that when it comes down to it, I don't really care how you like to worship. I want to know if there is anything that you would be willing to die for. It doesn't matter to me what name you use to refer to God. I want to know if you have faith in your own power to change the world. It doesn't matter to me if you read the same Bible as I do or if you read Scripture at all. I want to know if you have the courage to face the consequences of your beliefs. It doesn't matter to me if your days upon this earth are 85, or if you can count them on the fingers of your two hands. I want to know if you care about what happens to the rest of us when you're gone. It doesn't matter to me if you think I'm a fool. I want to know if you'd be willing to risk making a fool of yourself for the right reason. And it doesn't matter to me whether we share the same country or culture or color or creed. I want to know if you will step in the Jordan River with me if I call you in the middle of the night. How are you preparing yourself for the moments when destiny comes calling? I want to submit that there are those, born and unborn, who are counting on you to be ready. Remember to prepare a place for them. I'll see you in 2 weeks. I love you. Amen.